Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Starting off, let me get your name, where you from, and what it is you do.
Maaly Williams. I'm a visual artist from Chicago, Illinois, born and raised.
Okay. When you say visual artist, what exactly does that entail? So paint, graphic design, like what exactly is it that you feel that you know what I'm saying, bring to this visual art?
So visual artist, I would define that. I feel like anything that can be conveyed visually, so whether that be graphic design, painting, sculpture, charcoal drawing, pencil drawing, anything that you can create with your hands to make visual, I feel is visual art.
Okay. Out of all of them, do you think you have a favorite or one that you like doing more, one that's easy or, you know?
It ranges. So sometimes when I draw something, I'm pretty much know whether I'm drawing it to be later on digitalized into like a print or something, or if I'm drawing it as a painting. And that just goes into the mind of a creative, of a visual artist. You gotta kind of think 3 steps ahead. You know, when you're drawing something in the sketching phase, that first phase, you gotta pretty much know, all right, where this is going. You know, and sometimes you don't, and that's cool. But just for me, I like plan, execute.
I guess, when did you discover your talent for art?
I've been drawing since I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? Just mimicking like my older brother, really, that's really where it came from. But I really noticed that it was like a real thing, probably like my junior in high school, which is kind of why I be feeling such a way about my art, because I feel like I jumped off the porch a little late, you know what I'm saying? But I also appreciate it because it took a lot of time for me to develop and really figure out what I'm doing and how to perfect that, you know what I'm saying? So it's been a while, but I really found myself later on in high school, you know.
Okay, you said your brother was one of your inspirations. Did you have any other inspirations, like as far as people that when you first started you maybe tried to mimic or wanted to be like, or just, you know what I'm saying, somebody was like, you know what, I want to do something like that,
yeah.
You know?
I mean, even when I was in high school and I figured out like, all right, this is a real talent, like I was real heavy into like graffiti, tagging and all of that stuff. So I was really like on that boat, you know what I'm saying, looking at graffiti artists and trying to really mimic that. The only real artist that I knew was KOZ, and that's because I was such a big Pharrell and Bathe and Ape head in high school. So that was like this dude is the greatest, you know what I'm saying? Then one of my other inspirations was my homie Tone. He was just like, he was like right next to me. He was somebody that I could see on a day-to-day basis that was just so great, and it was just like, it's crazy, you know what I'm saying, and mimicking him, and that actually was, I don't want to say hindrance with me, but it really took a conversation from one of my close homies, Sean. He was like, bro, you got to stop chasing him because he didn't already perfected what he doing. So you steady chasing him, trying to do what he doing, you ain't gonna never be excited or never accept the work that you're doing. So you really got to kind of embrace what you do and be great at that. And literally from that conversation, I didn't realize it then, but now I realize like that was like the pivotal moment right there. You know what I'm saying? Because ever since then, I've been on a quest to perfect what I do, opposed to trying to be good at what somebody else is great at.
And I think that's probably one of the hardest things. So I'm gonna ask, how did you kind of pull yourself out of that? I feel like a lot of times, and that's in life, that's artistry, that's musicians, I feel like a lot of times people get caught up chasing a wave that somebody else invented. And it's like you said, you can't perfect the wave that's already perfected for the most part. So what do you think were, outside of, like you said, the conversation, what kind of drove you to say, all right, this is the lane you've created and this is how you go about it?
I mean, I still look at people like inspirations. I still look at Hebrew Bradley. I still look at Carls, George Condo, you know, but I'm not looking at them like, okay, I need to do this. You know, I'm looking at them and how they're perfecting what they do and expanding on what they do, and that's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking like, okay, this is their thing, and this is how they're expanding it. So I'm looking at myself and saying, all right, this is my thing. This is what I need to expand on. You know, I need to focus on this element or this aspect of it. You know,
when you create your work, is it for you to get a message out more so than for people to, I guess, gravitate to it and understand it, or is it just like, this is what was in my head, this is what I'm gonna put out?
It's both.
Okay.
I'm usually, like nowadays, when I was in high school and I was first really creating, it really was just like, I just want to make something that look cool. You know what I'm saying? Like visually, shit look cool. But growing older, you know, I realized sometimes you gotta put a message in your art. Sometimes you gotta put some ethics and some thought-provoking shit, some emotion in there. Because that's what's gonna stick with people in the long haul. You know what I'm saying? When people going to buy art, they looking for something that they can connect with. You know, more so than just like, okay, that looks cool. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm like, all right, that looks cool, and they ain't gonna keep it moving. You know, when you put a message in there or some emotion in there, they gonna sit there and think about it more. Because they're gonna be like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying?
For me.
So, more so me, when I'm creating art, especially my paintings, you know, and I'm always thinking every day, so I'm thinking of quotes, sayings, different things that we follow on a day-to-day basis. And I'm like, how can I make that statement but visually, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's just a lot of things that go on in my mind when I'm creating, and I'm always thinking of how is this going to be perceived by the viewer. You know, if I'm in a museum or gallery, what I want to buy this, what am I thinking when I see this? Because you do have to take your own bias out, because you know, you create something, you know what you put in it, and you like, man, this shit is dope. But you got to think how other people don't think it's dope. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you think are some key components that make visual art effective?
Color. Definitely gotta have the color, and the color's gotta be on point. Color theory is a big thing. You gotta know which colors go best side to side. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was a kid, I was just throwing colors in a different thing. I didn't realize like, oh, you know, light blue looks very cool next to orange, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, red is very vibrant next to green, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta be cognizant of all of that stuff, you know? Key components, the message, you gotta have a message, you know? Technique is a big thing too, you know? You can't just, I know it's a lot of visual artists now that have adapted a certain like collage style with their paintings, where they just kind of like throwing a bunch of random stuff in there but conveying a single message. But it can get lost at times when it comes to that. You know, so your technique gotta be A1. You gotta make sure that what you're putting down is conveyed by the public. Unless you really just want to be that polarizing and it's just like, figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Like, no matter what work it is you're doing, whether it's graphic design or pencil drawing, like, is it a technique or a certain style that you think you try to follow?
I think for the most part, just having conversations with other artists and other people, you definitely need to create like one thing that can be attached to your name, that can be attached to you. But it's always great to reinvent yourself, because with that, people get bored easily. You know, when you constantly doing the same thing, repetition, it's easy to get lost in that and just be like, all right, you know, he's a one-trick pony. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of take that one thing and reinvent it. Stay creative with it. You know what I'm saying? That's where the longevity is. You know, look at like companies like Pepsi or Nike. Nike has been the swoosh for forever. You know what I'm saying? But they constantly reinvent that. You know what I'm saying?
Whether it's on campaigns and stuff.
Yeah, with ads, with campaigns, with the different shoes, whether it be an Air Trainer or a Yeezy or a Jordan. You know what I'm saying? They constantly reinvent that wheel.
Do you think that we kind of lose different creatives more so to wanting to assimilate to the everyday grind?
I feel like we can, and I feel like there's not enough people in position that know, like, for instance, a lot of black kids, they say, all right, I want to be a rapper or whatever. How many of those kids actually have somebody in their family that's like, all right, I understand this struggle. You know, they only know the struggle of go get a 9 to 5 or whatever the case may be. So you really need to find people or look for information to help you. Because like same thing with me, I was thinking, I was like, man, all right, well, if I'm working this 9 to 5, I only got, 4 hours when I get home to work on some stuff, but then I'm running out of time and I gotta go back to work in a couple of hours. I've looked at that as a downfall before, but what I wasn't realizing is this is teaching me how to multitask. You feel what I'm saying? Having to, and this especially go for the kids in college, because like obviously, all right, I wake up, I go to school, I get out of school, go to work, I get off work, I gotta study, I got paper to do, but then I also gotta find some time to paint or make beats or whatever the case may be. That's teaching you how to multitask. Because when you get out here in the real world, you ain't just gonna be painting all day, you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have to do other things. But a lot of time, I heard this from another not a speech, but a lecture I went to. Sometimes you have to do things that you don't necessarily like just to get the job done. Like me, I hate commission pieces. Like you in my email talking about you want a picture of your son in a Black Panther costume riding a giraffe. I'm like, gee, come on, bro. But look at the other perspective. It might not be that hard for me to do it. I might not like to do it, but in the future, I might want to paint something with a zebra. You know what I'm saying? So it's just brushing up on other skills that might be kind of dull at the moment. You know what I'm saying? So and then you gotta think about it. All right, if I'm gonna make $500 on this piece or whatever the case may be, would I rather be painting, which is what I love to do, or would I rather be flipping birds? You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta kind of like weigh it out, and it ain't as easy as it sounds, obviously, because I go through the same stuff. It's like, man, I don't want to paint this, bro. But it's like, would you rather be painting or would you rather be at a warehouse lifting boxes for 12 hours a day? You got to kind of weigh it out and then just know that. And another thing, with artists, we naturally lazy people. Like that's just it. We just naturally lazy. We move to the beat of our own drum. Very prideful. You got to tuck a lot of that stuff away. Sometimes, all right, you might need to go work at McDonald's, whether it be for 6 months, whether it be for 2 years. You got to do what you got to do, because nobody want to be broke. That's the mission. Don't be broke. That's what's lame, being broke. That's lame, G. If you need to go work at McDonald's, do your thing, bro. But don't be sitting up here on the couch looking up at the sky like, man, I'm waiting for this money to fall out of the sky, because you're gonna look up, you're gonna be 40, bro. Like, keep it above.
That's facts. That's big facts. So we're gonna end it with that. Anything else you want to say about your brand? How can people reach you if they trying to do different work, all that? So your social media, stuff like that.
You can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter at Art4Maaly, ART, 4 A's, LY. Yeah, that's it, man. You can follow me. My website is on there, art4maaly.com. You can check out some merch, check out some art, services. If y'all anybody want to work, graphic design.